Good morning, it's Randy Byrd, and I'm going to take you through Module Unit 5 today, which is launching your farm. It's an exciting time. It could be a big win for you, especially done correctly. And again, this is just one of the pillars of your real estate business, but this pillar can be the way to build long-term residual business from building a farm and then leveraging that farm to the next farm and so on. Top agents around the nation, this is one of their secrets in their arsenal, and done correctly, which I will give you the tools and resources and direction for, it could be very beneficial. So we'll get into that and I'll talk about that now, but let me share my screen and I will be right back. Okay, here we go. So now that you've chosen your territory, as we talked about in Module Unit 4, we're going to get into how to launch that, right? What's next for you to launch that territory? And you'll notice the subtitles in it as well to help you along in watching the video. And sometimes you have to watch it with the volume down, whatever it is. But I did this for you. Hopefully you enjoy it. So let's go to slide number 1 here. All right. Obviously, goal is 5,000 homes total in your farm in the next 3 years. That's kind of the overall goal, but we have to start somewhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with phase 1. Phase 1 is identifying those 500 homes within that farm that you've identified. So you've got your 500 homes from title. It has that 6% turnover, and which relates out to about 30 homes per year selling in that 500 home territory. And then we're going to focus on becoming the local expert, like I talked about in Unit 4. We'll accomplish this through strategic positioning and frequency. So frequency of contact, we talked about items of value. We talked about monthly market updates, local area knowledge, everything from how long the roofs have been on in that subdivision to when the homes were built, who the builder was, all kinds of things that you can learn, schools, recreations, communities, canned food drives, all kinds of things you could do to really become known in that particular area, right? But here's the reality. This is where the rubber hits the road, is you have to get out and know the area, get out and explore it. Walking the neighborhoods are a great way to do it. There's a lot of controversy now with COVID. And one of the reasons we have to update this is there was a lot of door knocking, a lot of, getting out to meet your clients, starting with sweat equity rather than check equity. So I want to talk about that with you so you understand the pieces that could be involved in the opportunities that are ahead of you. If you've got hardly any business, you're new at this, no escrows, no listings, or very limited 1 or 2, this is your opportunity time-wise to put sweat equity into and lead into check equity later. Sweat equity means going out and walking the neighborhoods. Now, you don't want to knock on the doors right now. We've talked about this in our trainings. You really don't even want to put something on the door, in my opinion. I would say, and you heard me say it in the training, and the people in the future will hear this now on this video, but maybe a sandwich bag. And this could go on forever, by the way. I think the real estate lives have changed forever. The way we're going to do open houses, the way we're going to invite buyers into sellers' homes, the way sellers are going to cooperate with buyers showing and looking at their homes. I think the world's changed forever because of the scariness of this pandemic and the stickiness that it's coming back around now. But at the time of this filming, which is July of 2020, I think it's very relevant to talk about this piece of it. So one of the possibilities are a small sandwich bag, for instance. You get at Costco hundreds of them for $10. In the sandwich bag, you could take a piece of paper, maybe a colored piece of paper, make a lot of copies, right? You could do them on yourself or Kinko's or whatever, just copies on either colored paper. Instead of doing color copies, do black and white copies on a bright yellow paper, bright green, bright orange, something that's obviously noticeable. And what you could do on that paper is you could take the average size piece of paper and cut that into probably 4 squares that fit in a sandwich bag, maybe 6 squares, and print that message on the paper. So after you cut it, you have now 6 messages, front and back. So take your piece of paper on the front, it says maybe what's your home worth, or some kind of item of value, or how many homes sold in the month of June in that neighborhood. And then on the back, a picture of you, your information. It's all black and white, and doing it on two sides like that and then cutting it fraction of the cost. So you can go to Kinko's, make 100 copies, have them cut in fourths or sixths, and have 400 to 600 pieces of paper you're going to leave with your people for the cost of 100 copies. And Kinko's will cut them right there for you and everything. So that's a great solution for you. So now you have a little bag. You could get penny and put 1 penny in it just to hold it down. You can go to landscape companies and get those little nice marbles and little tiny rocks that are polished, somewhat polished, and throw one of those in the bag. There's a lot of ways that you could be creative with this. I've heard of leaving pins inside the bag from the title companies. They'll give you possibly a couple hundred pins. You could do that. Whatever it is for you to leave something of value on that doorstep of theirs. I would do just that. I would walk up to the doorstep. I'd leave it next to the door. I would not hang it on the door, and they'll see it, they'll pick it up, and they'll be able to read the message through the plastic, which gives them another layer of feeling of protection. They're not going to dig the penny out. I doubt it. Maybe 1 in 100 or maybe 1 in 1,000. But the reality is, and they may feel bad about throwing the penny away. So just in thinking about this, just give that some thought. Have something of value, but you could put penny for your thoughts. Have you thought about selling? Something like that would be creative. And if they throw it away, they throw it away. But something you could leave on that porch is going to be of value to you. And then now having the frequency. Ideally, maybe you could find a lender that's going to pay half of the cost of a postcard once a month, which it's about, you could get it done for about 50 cents a postcard times 500 is about 250 bucks. You pay 125, they pay 125, or they pay the full 250, and then you deliver the other one, which is your sweat equity of delivering that piece of paper. So then it will cost you literally nothing. You need to be concerned and cautious of RESPA, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, which is title companies and lenders can't pay you to do anything. They can't compensate you to have unfair business advantage, but you're allowed to split things 50-50. So if you have a question about this, ask me. It's better to ask than do the wrong thing. But the bottom line is RESPA is very specific, and they know all about it. The lenders and the title companies and stuff used to do a tremendous amount for us. I've still had lenders paying me $5,000 a month to cooperate into farms and mailing programs and advertisements and leads on Zillow and so on. But you have to be willing to pay that much money equally on the other side to keep it completely legal. So in this particular case, for instance, if you were going to pay somebody 250 bucks to hand out flyers once a month, and then that happened to be your kid or something else, you could have the lender pay 250 bucks. So you're collectively spending 500 in that subdivision, and you could do that legally, but we'll talk about the creativeness of it. So now you've got the mailers that are going out in some kind of frequency, either a mailer and then a hand dropped thing, which I think is great in the beginning. You could certainly hand drop 2 things a month and have one be that message that's got the colored piece of paper, and the next thing to be a folded up piece of paper with the market statistics from the previous month. That's really what everybody wants to know if they live in a house in the subdivision, is what's selling, what's their house worth, what's their equity looking like. That's what's important. So, and you can always lead that to your website on the papers. So now that you've delivered frequency in that subdivision, you've got 500 homes. You're starting now to understand the homes, understanding the addresses. I would add this layer of value to you. I would have personally a notepad that I walk around with and just label them 1 through 500 with their addresses. And then you can keep a list of everybody you've met, everybody you've talked to on the phone, or everybody that's told you to screw off. And just start really taking care of that list so you know who you've talked to, who your targeted audience is who you still want to meet. And then that will allow you to now hone in, like you've got 120 people you've never met before. Then you can focus your walking efforts specifically to those homes. You could maybe look for the phone numbers for those homes. You could leave them a message on the porch saying, hey, I've tried to reach you a couple times. Would you do me a great favor and call me back? I know most of your other neighbors, but we haven't met. I'd just love to meet you. You might have realtors within your farm. I know I did have probably 20 realtors out of my 500 homes because it was a subdivision that was a nice subdivision. Just delete them as you go. When you find out they're real estate agents, or if they're jackasses or whatever it is, just delete them, and your farm may get, condensed down a little bit. You might go out a little further to keep up to that 500, but the bottom line is you don't need to try and win everybody over. So next thing in the farm for you, now you've delivered things, you've got frequency, you've got items of value. The next thing is to become an industry expert in that neighborhood. So the first thing that you can do that's going to be of the most value is interview prominent people in that particular farm neighborhood. The school principal, the police department sheriff, the head of the town council or the town council members in that particular city. If it's on a golf course, the golf course superintendent, the general manager, the guy at the snack shack, anybody that lives in that subdivision that's willing to talk about it a little bit, talk about their benefits, what they love, what they like. And this takes a little bit of, just creativeness on your part and a little bit of being an extrovert, but you have to be an extrovert to be in this game, frankly. There's a lot of introverts that do very well in real estate because they just work through that sometimes agonizing pain of putting yourself out there. But the reality is there's nobody judging you. And if they are, it's none of your business. I love this statement. I don't remember the author, but what other people think of you is none of your business. Think about that for a minute. What other people think of you is none of your business. What they think of you in closed doors and otherwise, that's none of your business. Focus on what you can control, what you can contribute to, and do amazing things with this. So interview businesses in that subdivision and in that farm. So let's say, for instance, we have a farm in Sonoma County. We got the Santa Rosa Golf and Country Club. It was one of my farms for years. I did $5 million or $10 million, I think it was, worth of sales out of there, $8 or $10 million in 2 years, from scratch, from zero. Joined the country club, started golfing, getting involved, started putting a house in that was very prominent in there, listed one for free because it was right on the golf course, right next to the clubhouse. That led to a couple others. So let's say you have that subdivision now that's around Santa Rosa Country Club. All those houses become your farm. The Santa Rosa Country Club becomes your farm. If there's a business like a t-shirt company or a landscaping company that lives in that place, they become part of your interview process with businesses and recreation and streets projects. And say they're repaving the streets in your subdivision that your farm is in. You can call the superintendent of streets and talk to them about when the completion date is. And think about now going with a message saying, hey, the Santa Rosa subdivision is being repaved. It looks like the completion date's by October. And they said that the worst part will be between August 10th and August 18th. Stay with us for future information on this particular project. That's just one thing within that farm. Local officials, we talked about city council, police departments, the town planning commission. These people love to talk about themselves and get on camera potentially. Have an interview with them, set up a Zoom call interview so you can record it and then post it to your YouTube pages, to your Instagram pages, and to your farm delivery in the Facebook pages and all this. So remember, I told you to ask everybody to come into your Facebook page that's in your farm, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But start these neighborhood events and crime watch, police data, everything in this farm. You become the neighborhood expert. You will drive the competition out of there. I want to tell you about a case study. I told you about him recently in some of our other calls. If you've heard this before, forgive me, but Tom is down in Temecula, or Todd is down in Temecula. And Todd, when I started coaching with him with Tom Ferry a few years ago, he was doing about 18 deals a year, could not break 20 no matter what. He was 15, 18, just really at a ceiling. In his very first year within my coaching program, he broke 20, went into doing the 30-something range. The next year did 66 listings and transactions, I believe, on pace to do 80 this year. Almost exclusively coming from a properly run farm. I remember that call a couple of years ago when I said, just bear with me, stick with it. It's going to work. And he started with 500 homes. Now he's 1,000 homes, then 1,500. Now I think he's at 2,500 homes now. Frequency of mailing. Look for the right turnover. It happens to be a 55 and over community. He's so dominant in there. The other agents that used to be dominant only 2 or 3 years ago, They did 50% of the business in there. Now refer him the business in an effort to not lose that business because he's so dominant. He's like a 78 to 85% dominance in that subdivision. And so rather than them lose that business, they refer it, they get a 25% referral fee, and then they're giving him the business they would have otherwise got. But now he's a competitor that is kicking their butt. That's you in a couple of years if you do this correctly. So now, a couple other things you can do in this. And this, I'm giving this a lot of attention because this is really the meat and potatoes of this particular unit and category. And this could be one of those pillars that sweat equity allows you to build a real estate empire. You need to know the numbers: 6% turnover, a minimum of a 1-year commitment to this, doing this work. Imagine that for 1 year, because it's going to take 6, 7, 8 months possibly before you find your first deal closing. Could happen next month, but it will be lucky if it does. Strategically and looking at the numbers, it's going to take typically about 6 to 8 months before you see the yield of that first closing. It's about being top of mind with them. It's about you being top of mind and then outpacing another agent that they may have a relationship either loose or tight. And then you become the neighborhood expert in there with your items of value and your frequency of contact. Start neighborhood coat drives. Debris box days are popular. You deliver debris box into the community. You could even get the debris box companies and the trash companies to donate it or do something like that. Get the lender to pay for half of it. $400 debris box gives you an opportunity to call everybody in the neighborhood and say, hey, I bought a debris box. We're having a free trash day, spring cleanup, whatever it is. Everybody gets to go throw their trash into the debris box, and when it's full, it's done. So that's kind of how it works. It works actually very well. Client parties, holiday parties, crime watch groups, all this kind of stuff. We're having a lot of civil unrest right now in the country. It's a great time to start community watch groups and get people connected together to take care of their own neighborhoods. And you could be the ambassador author of this. And then last, get out of your head. This extrovert stuff, real estate requires you to be an extrovert. It just does. You can be an introvert, but have extrovert qualities and behaviors. This is what I'm talking about. Nobody's going to hate you. Yes, you're going to get somebody that says, leave you alone. Yes, you're going to get some mean person that answers the door and maybe even get cussed at. It's 1 out of 500. Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your heart. Just stay in love with what you do. Stay in love with the items of value that you're bringing, and just let them know, listen, the last thing I want to do is upset you. I was just trying to bring you an item of value and be different than the other people that knock on your door. And if you don't win them over with that, so be it. I think it warrants a story from yesterday. I've been cold calling for the first time in years because I want to teach my apprentices that the value of FSBOs and expireds and cold calling and circle dialing neighborhoods. And I've been getting my share of hatred. Trust me. It still affects me. I'm a human being. It still affects me for a little tiny point in time. I had this guy yesterday called me and he goes, what in the F is your problem? And I'm like, excuse me, good morning. It was like 7:08 a.m. And he goes, I have asked you to stop texting me like 3 or 4 times and you're just an idiot. And he went off. I got to be honest. He went off on me. And I said, hey, I'm sorry. Can you stay on the line for a minute so I make sure it doesn't happen anymore? And he was trying to hang up. I thought he hung up and then he goes, go ahead. And he was just ornery. And I go, can I get your name? And he goes, yes. And he told me his name. I looked him up and I go, all right, I have it up. July 1st was my first contact. I see it. And then I sent you a text on July 2nd. I sent you a text on July 5th. You responded back, stop. I don't want to hear any more from you. And then I text you again on the 7th, which was 2 days ago, I guess. And I said, that was my fault. Through the 4th of July holiday, that slipped by and I didn't see your text. I had 100 texts or something. My apologies. I was really just trying to help you. And I said, so I take it you don't want to sell? And he goes, no, I don't want to sell. I'm trying to tell you that I don't want to sell. I go, I totally understand, man. I go, hey, brother, my apologies. From me to you, my apologies. I really don't want to be that guy. And it totally diffused him. He goes, dude, I am so sorry. I was such a, said a bad word. He goes, I was so mean to you. I'm so sorry. Just, we get so much spam mail. We get so much junk. And I go, I totally get it. Totally get it. I don't want to be that guy. My name is Randy Byrd. Know that I will be good and listen to what you said. I've just deleted you. Please let me know if you get anything else from me. And he goes, it's cool if you send me something like once a month, like a market update. You realtors do that stuff. And I go, are you sure? Because I do not want to damage our relationship that we haven't even built yet. And he's like, no, bro, totally. I was way out of line. My bad. I'd love to work with guys like you if I need some. I just don't need anything. So here it goes from a FU to now potential customer in the future. That can all be done by diffusing the situation, apologizing, and hearing them out and knowing the situation they're in. I get at least 35 to 50 cold call, prospect hangups, computer generated voicemails, spams a month. And I'm on the do not disturb list. Understand where people are and then empathize and have sympathy in their situation. You will win out some of them. Don't worry about the ones you can't. Okay, enough on that. Let's go on to the next video. But that's a great amount of content that you can go back, look over, and really focus on what we can do together. So farming testimonial video. This should play fine when you pull this up on the site. This is a video to play, and I'm going to try it to see if it works. But basically, I want you to listen to, I believe this is Susan. She's a baller rock star agent, does hundreds of transactions primarily from her farm. Listen for her proven nuggets, identify the things you like and don't like and what you could do that she might be doing. Think outside the box. I just gave you a lot of opportunity ideas within your farm. Think outside the box for that. Look at top agents in your farm and see what they're doing. Try to ask the people that you're mailing to what kind of frequency they have. Have they ever sold the house? Do you know them personally? Kind of dig into that a little bit. A great story about Walmart. When Walmart was starting, Wally Walmart or whatever his name is, the Waltons, he stood in the front of the stores of his competitors like Target and Kmart and whoever it was at the time. And he interviewed the customers coming out of the store, said, what'd you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see? And think about the audacity of that, of standing in front of the store of your competitor and asking the customers coming out of the store what they liked, what they didn't like. And everything from, did you think the hours are good? What about the location? What would you like to see? If you could change one thing. He was concerned or he was curious about what they were shopping for, what their needs were and what needs weren't being met. He found out what needs weren't being met. He found out that it was strictly a price-driven conversation they were going to that store for. And he launched Walmart and crushed it because of his low price leader and rolling back prices and all the things that the Walton family did very well. That's thinking outside the box. Are you willing to go into a farm and say, hey, what agents do you know? What do they do great? What can I improve on possibly? How do I become that agent for you, right? So, and then also get a lender to offset costs. But I'm going to play our video for just a second, see if it works. It doesn't work on my recording, but I will make it work or I will post it into the Unit 5. So I thought it would play within this video, and it should, but I will make that video inside the category. So let's go on to the next. So make yourself known, right? This is the first and initial step in the introduction. A welcome letter and a business card mailed to your farm is a great way to go. You could also drop that off on the door and just, know that 400 out of 500 are going to get thrown away with a glance. That's just reality. People open their mail over their trash can now. We've built moats around our houses on purpose. We have do not disturb signs. We have no soliciting signs. By the way, if it has a no soliciting sign, you're allowed to drop something on the porch. You just don't want to knock. But again, you could be accosted just by approaching that house, but more and more people are going to it. Having a no soliciting sign, you're not soliciting if you're dropping something off on the porch, in my opinion. Know your local rules and laws per subdivision and gated communities. All things have their own rules. But welcome letter and a business card for the first initial, introduction to you. Start your postcard campaign, for instance, if you do geo farming or if you have the money to start a postcard campaign. One of the first ones is introducing you as the local area expert and then getting into their needs. Newsletters with the team intro. make sure if you want, it's up to you, but you leverage me, you leverage the team, you leverage the fact that we have 360 agents in our organization on our team. We have over 20 apprentices that you work with. We have multiple mentors you work with. You work with a coach, multiple coaches, whatever it is that increases your street credit and increases your value proposition. You want to use that to your benefit. Include recent sales and recent listings in your direct mailing to them. And then door knock and door drop in the intro. Don't door knock right now. Wait until we settle down with this, and then we'll get back to it. 2 agents were just fired from Compass, both for doing something inside the COVID triangle that haunted them. One had an open house and knew the sellers had had COVID and still did an open house and showed buyers that particular house, let go of Compass and fired. Another one had insensitive COVID remarks and said, I've shown lots of people houses, and if they have COVID or not, it's not my problem, and I'm not enforcing masks. Fired from his company. Don't be that guy or girl, all right? We do work for a company. We work for a NASDAQ publicly traded company, very scrutinized. We want to be smart in our actions and what we do. All right, so next one, Facebook. Facebook is a big opportunity for you on multiple levels. Number one, when you get to the Facebook setup page for your geographical farm, call it something that makes sense to that farm. For instance, you could do Santa Rosa Country Club neighborhood, Santa Rosa Country Club homeowners, Santa Rosa Country Club, houses, Santa Rosa Avenue houses, whatever it is, some kind of identifier that's close to the geographical farm idea. So if you read it, like Boulder Creek subdivision, right? Boulder Creek School, Boulder Creek Homeowners Group, something like that. You're going to have a lot more success of people joining that particular group and Facebook group, and you can invite them into that group. Easy to find people in your farm. Upload your farm list from title to KV Core. Start doing the search to tie in their name and their email address, and you'll start finding their Facebook pages. Then you can Facebook message them and say, hey, I don't want to bother you, but I have a Facebook group that's specific for Boulder Creek subdivision. Would you be interested in being in it? We have a lot of this kind of stuff. We do police reports, new homes, new sales, community events, the street projects going on, whatever it is. And then just keep asking them to be part of that. And then again, I showed you, and I will continue to show you a way to put ads in front of them that they don't know you're targeting them. They just keep seeing you on Facebook everywhere, and it's very valuable. So you'll add all the residents on your list to your Facebook page. If you become friends with them, you can then invite them into your friend group and or invite them into your business page is acceptable. But personal pages, sometimes that's too early. You want to wait till you have a relationship with somebody, you like them, then you become friends on Facebook, but there's more value in that as well. Make a friends list on your Facebook group and make this farm group part of that Facebook friends list. So then you could send them targeted ads and targeted posts about that subdivision and about that area. This way you can keep a personal touch in that area. Post local garage sales, community watches, coat drives, listings, street improvements, whatever's going on, right? And that will help you in that particular area. So next, door knocking versus door dropping. Again, door knocking's out right now. I would not even do a door hanger because you still have to touch their door in some capacity. Something on the porch, they could kick it away, throw it away, pick it up, whatever their comfort level is. And a piece of plastic is usually going to be like a bag, is going to be deemed safe, in my opinion. So, dropping off flyers, dropping off something like that in a plastic bag on the porch, I think you're going to be okay. You can't put them in the mailboxes on the street. Again, you cannot, because that is against postal code. You can't put anything in a mailbox without it being addressed and having proper postage on it. So a lot of agents think that they'll just go by and hit all the mailboxes. That's actually illegal. Don't do it. Again, you could tape or not tape. You could rubber band something around their mailbox handle. You could do some things like that, but you can't put it in the mailbox. But the best thing to do is just literally drop it on their porch, and they'll see it when they come by. All right. But once a month, drop off flyers to each address on your list. And then once again, every other month or every other week. So every 2 weeks, they're getting something. I would do once a month, do a either a mailer, a flyer, or it could be an email through Market Snapshot or a market report of what happened in the last month. So typically by the, call it the 15th of the month, they're getting something that happened in June. And then they're getting an item of value from you in between that. So every 2 weeks, they're getting something from you for 2 years. Okay. And then really just sticking with that particular cadence, so you get that frequency. And you're gonna have people that call you and go, dude, knock it off. You've left me crap on my porch for 2 months. Just say what part of it is bugging you. Is it the package, or is it the message, or is it both? And just say, hey, do you have an email? I'll just email you the market report for the housing every month. And if they still say no, you can take them off that list, but I still ask questions. Well, listen, Mr. and Ms. Smith, I totally want to honor your request. But if I have somebody that wants to move into this neighborhood, do you mind if I reach out to you and find out if you're willing to sell? Name your price. Or if your neighbor's selling their house, wouldn't you like to know first, just in case you knew somebody wanted to move into this neighborhood? If they tell you no, screw off, just delete them. You don't want to create enemies, but don't give up on the first no. Ask some powerful questions, get to the bottom of it. And they may have had a bad day at work. They may be totally in love with your message, and then have a bad day at work, go through divorce, have a breakup, and all of a sudden you're the one that they're taking their anger out on. Just know that. And if that's the case, start sending them postcards when you get to that level, because then they can throw them away at their leisure, but they're still getting the message. And the reality is, when they just decide to sell, buy, or invest, that frequency, you're going to be top of mind with them. Now, if you haven't made them mad and they see your professional value, you're likely to be put into that loop of opportunity. 30 houses a year in that subdivision at a 6% turnover. I've seen 11% turnover in some divisions. So something to think about, okay? So let's go to the next and last slide here, homework. So an example on the screen, free real estate consultation. Now, Sally, agent, realtor number, make sure you put your DRE number on everything, your real estate ID number. Some states don't require it. California absolutely does. Oregon does not. Washington does not. So a lot of states are different. If you put it there, you're covered in all cases. But you have to lead with your broker, which is eXp Realty. You and your name is fine. You don't have to put the team name if you don't want to. You can if you like. And then you have a market update like this. How many listed properties, the price, people want to see this. Other things that work very well that people will keep is local emergency numbers, fire, police, paramedics, dog veterinarian, horse veterinarian, all that stuff on one piece of paper people will keep, especially refrigerator, magnets, or a postcard. But design and deliver your first contact to your initial farm from slide before. Mail, work, knock, drop, whatever we said. Start adding the Facebook group and the farm residents right away. Once they get your first thing with your business card, they're going to know who you are. And then you can say, hey, I have a new group. And then you could say, by the way, we're already at 60 of your neighbors are on it. And then, by the way, we're already at 180 neighbors are on it. By the way, we have every neighbor on it but you. Or we have every neighbor on it but you and a couple others. That message could be valuable. And then, by the way, last month we posted about the street being closed. You would have known about it, those kind of things. Get super knowledgeable in your farm. Again, I'm gonna really emphasize this. You have to be looking at your MLS, do a search for that farm, and get identified of any new listing, any new escrow, any new sell in that farm. And you can do that easily within your MLS and have a report sent to you. So you can identify that territory, just like you're looking for a buyer. You can do it in KV Core too. But just like if you're looking for a buyer within this geographical circle, you want to know everything that's going on in there, the 0 to 2 million price point, because you want to know everything. And then every day you're going to get an email. This new listing came on. This just went pending. This closed, right? Whatever's going on, you can do that in the MLS or your CRM. Know everything that's going on in there. So when you get asked, you know what the sales price is, the average square foot cost, how long the roofs have been on in the subdivision, how old the subdivision is, the name of the builder, police reports, whatever's going on. You know, you can subscribe to a lot of different things to be available in that. And you can even start your own Facebook group. Again, that's a public facing group of what's going on in, you know, Southwest Country Club Drive. Okay. This is your superpower. Your knowledge in this particular isolated, super small niche market is going to be your superpower. And then once you start getting transactions, we keep duplicating this, and that's how you get to 2,000, 5,000, 20,000 flyers a month that Daniel Byrd sends out. And he's doing, I think he did, I don't want to say this wrong, but I want to say he did 600 transactions last year in San Diego, and he's, you know, $5 million in GCI. It's significant. So, average sales time on market, all these things are numbers you could put on the sheet like this. And then lastly, go to one EXP training in the world. Listing presentations, prospecting, lead generation, scripts and dialogue, farming. There's a lot of great ones. Just be investing into your knowledge. Obviously, you got our mentor program that we're helping you with and supporting you on. But really, that is going to be the key to the success of this particular pillar of your real estate business. So with that, I'm going to end the slideshow for now. I'm going to let you know that I really appreciate you. I'm excited about your journey. I will post this into the to the apprentice modules and under the group, and I look forward to your success. Reach out, bring any of the questions to our Monday and Thursday meetings if you have any. I will get this posted into the group for Unit 5, as well as the homework and all that stuff will be posted so you can take the quiz. Good job on the ones that just completed Unit 4. I'm excited for you to launch this particular program very correctly. And one of the other opportunities I have is this virtual B&I group, right? So Business Networking International is a group, and this is just another nugget if you decide to go after it. It adds into your farm very well and adds into your overall sphere of influence in real estate very well. B&I groups are full of realtors, and they won't even accept anymore in many areas. But you can start this B&I group, virtual B&I group. B&I is a trademark name, so be careful with that. Don't overly promote it. But virtual B&I or VB&I is not promoted and copyrighted to my knowledge. But having a virtual business networking group, right? And then invite the community leaders into this group, hold the trainings in the world in our team suite, hold the trainings on Zoom, whatever you want, and look up B&I, what it stands for. But basically they meet once a week, 7 a.m. They get a 2 minutes to pitch their business. This would be a great opportunity for you to have a blue ocean opportunity within your sphere and say, hey, I'm only looking for one attorney, one CPA, one business owner in roofing, one contractor, one plumber, one doctor, one eye surgeon, one glass company owner, whatever it is. And then you can get 10, 20, 30 business owners that you're now the MC of, you're the boss in another Facebook group for this local B&I group for your town, right? So this is now Santa Rosa West Side B&I group or East Side or whatever. And then you can now start having this message where you're the only realtor in there. You get a lender, you get a title officer, and over time you'll have 3 or 4 people only in the beginning. But when you get 30, everybody's got 2 minutes. You're in an hour meeting. Everybody's pitching their products for 2 minutes. You're, trying to help each other with referrals and support. It's a great opportunity to have that. People are dying for that because they're not out there mingling in business right now. So another nugget that if you choose to follow, I think could have real dividends for you. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. It's Randy Byrd, and I am looking forward to your success. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.